Freedom of speech, America's favorite constitutional right. Right after owning an AR-15 for hunting, the First Amendment is supposed to mean that the government cannot come after us and censor our ideas. Simple enough. But in today's world, not so much. Freedom of speech in today's world apparently means I should be allowed to say anything I want, anywhere I want, without pushback, fact-checking, or even someone pretending or starting to roll their eyes at me. Otherwise, I'm being oppressed. Because nothing screams tyranny like Karen getting banned from Facebook for her 7th time because she keeps posting about 5G towers being powered by the blood of Satan. The founding fathers thought they were preventing another King George from throwing people in jail for criticizing him. They weren't sitting around in powdered wigs imagining the future where Greg from Ohio live streams his 45-minute rant about chemtrails. They wanted liberty. We got YouTube comment sections. If James Madison saw what we did with his First Amendment, he'd probably crawl back into his grave, slam the lid, and say, nope, too dumb for me, not worth it. And today we have something called cancel culture. It's kind of like the death of comedy. We had comedians like George Carlin and Robin Williams and others who would make fun of political figures and figures in the world. They would, say nasty words about them. They would just do things that would just, in today's world, not happen. When we have comedians do it today, they get canceled or put on hiatus or, preempted because they say dumb things or they try to be funny and they're not. So today we have cancel culture. Yes, the modern boogeyman. Because losing a sitcom reboot is basically the same as being thrown into prison, which happened to Roseanne. She said something stupid on Twitter, she lost her show, and the world was set on fire for her. Every time someone says something offensive and gets backlash, suddenly we're living in Orwell's 1984. Newsflash. Okay, people, newsflash. Freedom of speech protects you from the government. Not from Twitter, not from X, not from Instagram, not from Facebook, not from YouTube, not from TikTok. None of that. It doesn't protect you from the users commenting with a lot of snark and maybe some hateful words. If your career collapses because people didn't like your joke or they didn't like your way you said things about something, congratulations, you weren't censored, you were unpopular. Welcome to capitalism, champ. Now, people love to say social media is the new town square. Sure, if your town square is filled with bots, grifters, and your Aunt Susan arguing about ivermectin at 2 a.m. And let's not forget, the public square is privately owned by billionaires who look at us like lab rats in a dopamine experiment. If Mark Zuckerberg wants to ban you from posting lizard people memes, he can. That's not tyranny. That's just customer service. You don't like it? Cool. Go start your own platform. Oh, wait, Elon did that. And we've all seen how well that's going. Elon didn't like Twitter, so he bought Twitter and changed it to X, and now it's a lot different. In today's world, everyone feels like they're a victim. And here's the best part. Both political tribes think they're the ones being silenced. Conservatives say big tech is out to cancel them. Progressives say hate speech is running wild. Both are convinced they're victims of some grand conspiracy. Meanwhile, the rest of us are just stuck in the crossfire, scrolling through endless hot takes like, did you know freedom of speech means I should be able to yell slurs in Starbucks? Spoiler, it doesn't. The barista has every right to tell you to shut up while handing you your caramel macchiato. So freedom of speech is alive and well in America. You can call Donald Trump a dictator. You can call him a tyrant, you can call him a fascist, and the government can't arrest you on the streets because of it. They can't arrest you in the streets because the government can't arrest you for things you say against them. Now, if you threaten to kill someone in the government or anywhere, they can take you in for some questions. Or I'm going to blow something up. They can take you in for questioning. But if you say, hey, I don't like Jimmy Kimmel, or I don't like JP Sears, or I don't like the older millennial, they don't care. They don't care at all. And other platforms that these people are on might ban you, might shadow ban you, might tell you that you're not allowed or give you a strike for against community guidelines. But you can't do anything about it. You can appeal it, but it's not your freedom of speech, okay? When the founding fathers framed this, they're worried about King George type person coming in and saying, if you say something angry against me, I'm going to make you disappear. They didn't say you can't make a bad joke. They said you can do that. You can have a Madonna in the middle of, in front of Lincoln Memorial saying that she's thought about blowing up the White House in a public forum. It's okay. For some reason, that's okay. You can have people call the president or the former presidents or presidents before that nasty words and say they're warmongers or they're womanizers or they're just bad people. It's okay. The government can do nothing about it. And here's where I've lost a lot of my thoughts lately. In the last couple of weeks, we've had a political assassination. We've had school shootings. We've had people committing suicide by hanging. We've had bomb threats. We've had gun threats. And each side is saying they're under attack. The right is blaming the left, saying their political dialect is destroying our country and putting them at risk. The left is saying the right is being, they're part of the cancel culture that they said they would never be part of because they're getting people canceled for how they're talking about Charlie Kirk and others. We have the president saying burning the flag is no longer protected speech. It kind of is. I like our flag. I don't think you should burn our flag, but you have the right to. Like it or not, it's a government symbol, and as long as you're not hurting anyone else, burn away. And that's where I lose a lot of people. I think Colin Kaepernick should have been allowed to kneel for the national anthem. I don't agree with him, but it's his right. Now, the NFL is a private-run organization, non-profit because of our government, but they are privately owned and operated. If they ban him, that's their prerogative. But our country can't go after him because it's his freedom to express, to demonstrate, as long as he's not hurting anyone else. January 6th, 90% of the people on January 6th, perfectly fine. The people who broke in, hurt people, destroyed property, those were the people that committed a crime. Now, were they treated fairly? Probably not. But they did commit a crime. And that's the point. You can express, you can protest, you can say what you want, as long as no one gets hurt. And I think that's what we've lost. We've got all this thought about freedom of speech and how we need to allow people to say what they want unless they say something we don't like. During COVID, people were saying, America, we need to worry about ivermectin because Joe Rogan is saying ivermectin is a cure. And the COVID vaccine, people were saying, the COVID vaccine had bugs in it and they were going to track where we're going. The government wanted to track us. No, they didn't. Ivermectin, people used it, people didn't. It doesn't matter. It's not a horse dewormer. It's a medication. Now, horses use it, but not the same way that we do. But Joe Rogan has a podcast, and if Spotify didn't like what he was saying, they would tell him he's canceled or on sabbatical or on hiatus or preempted for a little while. But they didn't, because he knew what he was saying. People would listen to either complain or to agree with, and they'd make more money. That's all it's about. Most people on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, you can have creators say the craziest things. As long as they get the likes and the viewership, these platforms don't care because it's about the almighty dollar. So everyone does say freedom of speech is under attack in America. Conservatives, liberals, everybody, okay? They all say the same thing. And why? Because they want to be able to say what they want to say when they want to say. And they believe that's what the founding fathers wanted. The founding fathers wanted to be able to say, hey, the king sucks and not go to prison. Or they wanted to say, hey, the president's not doing a great job and not be worried that their farm is going to be taken from them or burnt down and their family's not going to be punished. That's what happens in some countries. North Korea, if you go against the, Kim Jong, not only are you punished, but 3 more generations of you are punished, like your kids and your grandkids and your great. That's how it happens. It's generational blame and punishment. We don't have that in America for a reason. Now, when you get canceled, does it make it hard for you to do what you were doing? Absolutely. But there have been plenty of people who were canceled and magically come back later. They come back later because people realize what they might have said 10, 20, 30 years ago isn't who they are today. James Gunn was canceled by Disney. He was fired after Guardians of the Galaxy 2 because he put something on Twitter 15 years ago. And Disney's like, oh my God, we got to cancel. They fired him. But then everyone threw up an arm and said, this was so long ago. He's not this person anymore. And they hired him back. But by firing him, they screwed up the relationship with so many other people because so many other people saw James Gunn as somebody who had changed over time. You're allowed to change. Penalizing somebody for something they said 20 years ago and trying to cancel them is just stupid. It's just 20 years ago, I probably said a lot of dumb things. 2 weeks ago, I probably said dumb things. I shouldn't have to pay now for something I said. Now, if I hurt somebody physically, if I if I caused harm to somebody, that's different. But a statement, that's not a reason to cancel somebody 20, 30 years down the road. And that's the society we live in now. We have people on the internet literally looking into people's backgrounds to try to get them canceled if they don't like them. And that's something that's also happening with people's jobs. They're like, well, I'm losing my job because of what I said about Charlie Kirk, and it's not fair. I have freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, again, is from the government. It's from the government attacking you, the government holding you accountable, the government coming after you. It's not about your job. If your job is a government, maybe different. But most of the time, a private company can do whatever they want. Now, some companies don't care what you say because they just deal with it. But other companies who are big, and they don't want the negative publicity. They don't want that on their company. They want to keep making money. And if your bad words, if your attitude, if you posting on social media makes it so they lose money or could lose money, they have no option but to get rid of you. They can either stand behind you and say, hey, they had a weak moment. But most of the people who post about Charlie Kirk in a negative way, it wasn't a weak moment. They were jumping up and down. They were singing. They were dancing. They were talking about how horrible this human was. And Jamie Lee Curtis last night, or night before last, put something on social media, which I think we can agree with. At least people I know should agree with. She said this. She said, I didn't like Charlie Kirk's philosophies. I didn't believe in most of the stuff he believed in. But he is a man of faith. He was a man of faith. He believed in Jesus. He had a wife. He had kids. He tried his best to speak openly in public about what he believed. He also put forth his thoughts and ideas in a public forum and did not mind being attacked. I don't agree with him, but no one should ever be killed, attacked, or hurt because of their beliefs. Charlie Kirk never swung at anyone. He never shot at anyone. He never ran anyone over with a car. He talked. And though we think today words can hurt, they can't hurt you if you don't listen. If you don't like what he says, don't listen to him. Till next time.